Welcome to the snapshot of Speak Like Churchill, Stand Like Lincoln, 21 Powerful Secrets of History's Greatest Speakers by James C. Humes. Here, we'll explore the key insights from Speak Like Churchill, Stand Like Lincoln. Introduction. For leaders, being able to talk the talk is essential. How you use language and present ideas determines whether people are on board with your vision or if they're completely lost. Even quiet and insightful leaders have to speak on behalf of the company or advocate for their colleagues in a thoughtful and impactful way. By applying tips used by some of the greats of public speaking, including Winston Churchill and Abraham Lincoln, you'll develop a more effective and less fearful approach to public speaking. Getting to the point. The first part of your speech sets the tone for how it will be received. If you can't convince the audience to pay attention to your speech within the first 10 seconds, it's almost impossible to get that back later. But no pressure, right? When you first take the stage, you want your audience to be completely captivated from word one, but you don't always want to dive right in. Starting with a power pause can help you grip the audience without saying anything. The anticipation of what you're about to say will be enough. Consider Queen Elizabeth, a petite woman who doesn't exactly have a natural advantage when it comes to commanding attention. She's known for using strategic pauses both at the beginning and throughout her speeches to help her pacing and to hold everyone's attention. If a pause at the beginning doesn't suit your speech topic or you're short on time, try the power opener. These are usually straightforward, impactful facts or clear declarations of your stance at the start, no pleasantries or filler. Avoid inserting thanks or compliments to the host at the very beginning. This can sound insincere and is a waste of valuable speaking time. President Franklin Roosevelt used a power opener for his speech after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. He announced the tragedy to the country in a way that was succinct and hard-hitting. Famous public speakers employed different methods, but they all establish and maintain a power presence. Churchill, for example, consistently utilized the same accessories, the thick glasses he would put on right before starting his speech, his signature cigar, his iconic hat, and his right-hand V for victory symbol. To establish your presence, wear clothing that makes you feel like you can own any room. Develop a signature style that will help build your confidence when you're standing on stage. When developing your speech, you need to narrow it down to a core purpose or a PowerPoint. The point should be clear, and you should have an established path to the point. Think of whom you're trying to reach, what messaging will have the most impact, and what delivery is the most effective. For example, if you're speaking to a room full of researchers, don't prepare a speech that's bursting at the seams with anecdotes. Knowing what is too much and too little is the key to speech writing. Deliver the main points in as few words as possible, or in a short statement, a power brief. You will usually do justice to your purpose by keeping it short and simple, instead of elaborating at length. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address is widely considered one of the greatest speeches of all time, and it lasted for all of 2 minutes. Shorten your narrative to tell a story while still including essential parts. Storytelling is focused on relating to the audience and keeping them engaged. Quotes from famous figures that emphasize your points are great additions to speeches, but don't overuse them. You don't want to lean on the words of others to make your point, but a power quote can resonate with listeners. If your speech were a Broadway musical, your power quote would be the lead actor. Write favorite quotes across several categories on note cards. Use quotes to provide more context or meaning, such as a quote from Steve Jobs during a speech on innovation, or a quote from Oprah Winfrey when you're talking about overcoming doubt. Choose a quote from the category that matches your speech and shape the rest of your talk around it. Statistics can either grab people's attention or lose it entirely. Numbers can be meaningful or overwhelming. The key is finding the power stat that is pertinent for the audience. Minimize the number of statistics you use. You want them to emphasize points in your speech, not take it over. Use comparisons to make statistics accessible. For instance, say, American pizzerias serve enough pizza every day to fill 75 football fields end zone to end zone, instead of 100 acres of pizza are served in the United States every day. Keep in mind what is easy for people to visualize and what isn't. Keeping their attention. If you feel that your speech seems to be going well, you're probably on the right track. But that doesn't mean your job as a speaker is done. Audiences tend to lose interest in the middle of talks if they don't find the content meaningful. Several writing and speaking methods can help you keep the audience's attention and your confidence. People rely on technology to accomplish most things. Slideshows and teleprompters provide a sense of security for speakers. But think about a power outage. If your device malfunctioned, would you be able to continue the speech? Could you effectively carry the presentation just from memory or your own words? Relying too much on images takes attention away from you and can cost you your ability to hold an audience's attention during crucial moments. Slides can supplement your points, but don't rely on them to make the points for you. Your audience is more likely to stay engaged when they are amused. Bringing humor to a speech can amplify its impact when it's done well. Use power wit by adding a well-placed, intelligent, and topical anecdote or joke. Incorporate humor that reflects on your own experience. Write down your key points on a note card, but don't read an entire anecdote or joke from the card. If humor is inappropriate for the occasion, persuasion might be a better tactic. Use the power parable, or a story told for the purpose of persuading others. Including relatable examples and personal experiences is the best way to utilize a parable in your favor. People who aren't comfortable with the speaking aspect of public speaking can rely on power gestures. Sometimes, not saying anything says everything you need. George Washington was tall and handsome, but he was an extremely awkward speaker from the time he was a teenager. He mastered the art of letting his gestures speak for him to capture people's attention. He embodied an early version of the strong, silent type. When he was an older general serving in battle, the act of pulling out his spectacles said so much about him that his men were moved to tears. One gesture or a series of small actions can help drive your points home. A modern example is the character Captain Raymond Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The police captain is formidable because of his careful choice of words. His serious composure is enough to command a rowdy police station. Even the most charismatic conversationalists can instantly sound robotic when it's clear that they are reading a script out loud. In his days as a young actor, Ronald Reagan lost a job at a radio station because of his monotone delivery of on-air commercials. After losing this job, which he desperately needed, he learned the art of power reading. Instead of just reading a speech, he 1. Looked down at the speech and memorized one line. 2. Looked back up and held a pause for a couple of seconds. 3. Recited the line. Try this yourself. Repeat this cycle throughout your entire speech. Pausing right after looking back up puts the emphasis on eye contact, which makes the speech feel more conversational. Utilizing power poetry involves reorganizing a speech into a series of verses. Churchill said that speeches were written for the ear and shouldn't be structured like news articles. Splitting phrases into individual lines makes it clear where the emphasis should be. Annotating a speech by underlining key words, or words you stumbled over during rehearsal, is another way to make them pop. Do a trial run. Record yourself reciting a speech organized into paragraphs and record it again with the speech written like poetry. You'll notice the difference right away. A joke has a punchline. A speech has a power line. The power line is the phrase that brings all your points home. It should be the phrase everyone remembers from your speech. Power lines incorporate antonyms. Use the impact of opposites to drive a point home, such as truth versus lies, or shadows versus sunshine. Rhyme. Think of a set of words that rhyme with each other and use them in two separate lines of your speech, either right next to each other or within a few seconds of each other. Use versifiers, such as words that end with ake or eam, to form rhymes. Echo. Repeating one key word is a great way to indicate the importance of that word. Churchill's address following the Battle of Dunkirk repeated fight to empower British troops and civilians. Alliteration. Alliteration, the repetition of initial consonants, will make your speech more catchy and therefore more memorable. Metaphor. Highlight similarities with flair. Think of Churchill's most famous phrases, such as Iron Curtain. Some points are most effectively communicated with a power question. This is a question that gives the audience pause and increases emotional attachment to what is being said. It forces the audience to react instead of just being passive listeners. Ask a series of questions or rhetorical questions. Use power questions judiciously and sparingly in your speech. Use a short pause and then reveal a power word. Churchill was a stutterer, but is still known as one of the greatest speakers of all time. He used power words to maintain control over his stuttering. Leaving an impression. Money talks, and speakers should know how to wield power dollars. Benjamin Franklin could convince almost anyone to invest in his ideas because he could show results. He was able to become a printer by convincing the governor of Pennsylvania to fund a trip to London to get a printing press. When you are speaking, make it clear that investing in your idea or product is a golden opportunity. As you improve your speaking, you'll develop a sense of how you can switch on your most compelling presence and give a great presentation. This is finding the power button. Reagan's trick was imagining the way he would talk to his barber, Jack. Use this switch to unleash zingers that will leave a lasting impression on your audience. Finishing strong is a must for public speakers. You can't make it most of the way and then lose momentum at the very end. The pressure of finding the right conclusion for your speech is intense. You have to identify a power closer that will wow the audience. Churchill never finished a speech without an element of drama. Even if the rest of your talk was boring or got stale, grab your audience's attention at the end, and they will leave with positive feelings about your speech. Create opportunities to personally connect with your audience several times throughout the speech, especially at the end. When in doubt, try to end on a humorous or compelling note. Public speaking doesn't require a podium or microphone. Practice these skills during your next slideshow presentation or celebratory toast. Using any opportunity you can to speak in front of people will build your confidence and help you shine while practicing the art of storytelling. But remember to keep it interesting. Leaders and great speakers go against the grain by practicing power audacity. They sometimes shock, but they definitely surprise. Be thoughtful and be memorable. Conclusion. Even the most naturally talented and successful people still need to rehearse and practice speaking publicly. It's simply impossible for someone to wing everything and succeed. While you're practicing, make sure you follow these rules. Establish a power presence and style your attire accordingly. Assemble a go-to speech outfit that makes you feel confident and comfortable. A well-fitted suit is always a good idea. Decide whether your speech should start with a power pause or a power opener, based on which will be more effective for both the audience and the subject. Use quantifiable and scalable statistics to illustrate key points. Practice the art of power reading to sound more authentic and develop a better connection with your audience. Be warm and open. Share your own experiences. Focus on your knockout closing point to leave the best possible impression. About James C. Humes. James C. Humes is a former presidential speechwriter and professor of language. He coached and wrote speeches for Presidents Eisenhower, Nixon, Ford, and Reagan. He has published several books about the life and work of Winston Churchill and received a Pulitzer Prize nomination for Churchill, Speaker of the Century. Thank you for listening to the snapshot of Speak Like Churchill, Stand Like Lincoln by James C. Humes. If you like what you heard, then make sure to explore the rest of our snapshot library to continue gaining key insights from nonfiction books in a matter of minutes.
Thank you for listening to our quick learning audiobook review series. If you liked what you heard, then check out our channel for more free audiobook reviews. We post new audiobooks every week. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to be first to hear of our latest reviews.